The school was founded 6 to 7 years ago by Mrs. VAZ. We are still in this location because years ago, when we could have probably afforded new property to take us out of this area, she refused. She said the school is where it ought to be, right here. It's our former residence. This is where she used to live. The house was across there somewhere. She said there's a need for us to stay in this area, so we have stayed. A lot of people look at us, that we are in the inner city, but as she said, that even children in the inner city, they need quality education. So this is what we are giving. A few of the children, at least 3, who started, because at first we were just mainstream, but we realized that there's a great need to take in children with special needs. And to us, the best thing for children who are a little different is to be incorporated in mainstream. So we have been taking children from preschool up to grade 6. Some of our children with special needs can be mainstream without a shadow teacher. If I take you around the school now from preschool to grade 6, you'll not recognize some of these children that we took in who were in the center. I know they are mainstream. Erica's son is I would say my most successful story, because when he came at close to 5, he wasn't verbal, he was still in diapers, and when I see Dominic now, I'm moved to tears. Granted, she has worked with us very well, because it has to be a partnership between parents and teachers. So now he's articulate. He goes to the bathroom all by himself. He's actually going to purchase his snacks. So when I see things like that happening, I'm very happy. I'm very happy. So I don't know what Erica has in mind, but for me, whatever we have and whatever we are offering is inadequate. So whatever we can get, we are very grateful. I know for children with special needs, they need to be more engaged, especially in manipulatives and so on. To me, they like to be engaged, especially when they are sitting around a computer. However, social interaction is key. We need computers, but we also need a balance with the social interaction. So, Miss Erica?
Well, I guess one follow-up question I would have is
Yes.
So where do you see the greatest needs when you say that it's when you say that it's inadequate? Where are the gaps, and where are the greatest challenges for you to fill?
I think we need more manipulatives, like for math kit, the math kit, like language art kits,
And
anything that they
to
can.
explain for people what you mean by manipulative.
Hands-on.
Hands-on.
Suppose you're going to doing like addition, and you need the abacus, you need the cubes, that type of thing that we need. We need language art kits, anything that they can physically take, because hands-on, because they don't need all the time to be writing in books. So they need more manipulatives, like things I can interact with. Like they have the cards, like the fat card, What's that?
Sorry.
What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
No, she's in charge of the center, so I'm trying to get her input.
And also, I think they need balls. They can exercise balls, maths,
Okay.
like
things like that.
sensory stuff.
Sensory.
Right.
Oh yes, that's why you're here. Yes.
Okay. And what about training? Like, is there a shortage of people who have been trained and are knowledgeable enough in dealing with children with special needs? You need more people.
I think we need more of that. More training.
Yes.
Because a lot of our shadow teachers are trained in the system.
Right.
So we need more. And it's a general thing right throughout the country. We find that there's a need for trained persons. And especially a person with that type of temperament, who can because you need special people for this, you know.
Yeah.
You need very, very special.
Absolutely.
Yes. So training is probably major, and thank you so much for reminding us about that.
Yeah.
I think on staff, I'm the one who is training special ed. I'm not in the center. The main reason I got trained in special ed, I did a master's in varying exceptionalities, is the fact there's a very critical period when certain things must be done. And I find that a lot of children were coming in the preschool at age 2, 3 with special needs, and I wanted to be more informed, to recognize it early so we can do something about it. And that is what we have been doing. That is why we have Dominic as our success story. We have Nichelle came to us at 2, and then when she went to another school, and then when she came back, and I did an assessment of Nichelle, the one who said she wanted to be a nurse, I made a recommendation of 3 pages that no, we can't manage Nichelle. There's no way we can manage Nichelle, not even in the center, much less mainstream. And where I see Nichelle now, every day I apologize to our parents. I say, I'm so very sorry because I made that recommendation, but we still decided to give her a chance. And when you see Nichelle now in the school, she's just like a typically developing child. What we find with the children who are in the center, we have to treat them as much as possible as typically developing children. You understand?
Yeah.
We don't treat them as if they have a special need. If much is expected of them, then much is going to be given.
I agree. Yeah, I find that.
So we have to we have to treat them just like anybody else in the school. So Nichelle is taking Dominic to purchase his snacks and everything, and when you see them, you know, unless somebody points them out, then you're not going to know the difference.
Right.
Because that's how they are treated.
And I can depend on her to go and get things copied from me. Anything I ask her to do,
she goes to the office, and this is the little girl that I asked them not to take. So I have to still be apologizing. So when you ask us about our needs, we thank you so much for reminding us about the training, because we want much more of that.
Right. And what about the parents themselves? Like, I mean, you know,
support,
the support that
group?
they have, and is, you know, I mean, again, do they have the resources that they need to?
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
And what do you find are the major barriers to getting them?
The resources, maybe finances.
Finances. Right.
Finances. Yes.
Right.
That's always the major, and probably lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
So same thing, you come back to training. What I would love to see, not only for the teachers to benefit from training, but also the parents, workshops. Because that is crucial. And a lot of parents are in denial, you know. And the first step, when you have to explain that, you know, I think your child has a special need. I'm not a medical person. I'm not supposed to say your child is autistic. I can only say I have a grave suspicion, and I point them to places where they can go for more professional help, like a medical person. But then there's always denial. So sometimes they're in denial for 1 or 2 years.
And by the way, I mean, then you make that recommendation. Is there not then a cost to having that tested?
That is it.
Yes.
Right.
And they shy away from it because it can be very expensive. And the persons I recommend them to for the assessment is the best on the island, Professor Sams Vaughan. But it is not. It's not inexpensive. It's very expensive. So that is a barrier.
Right.
What happened with the ministry? Our Ministry of Education. And it is commendable now that if you have your child assessed and you're taking the assessment from a reputable person, they are willing to help with the financing for the child's education. They will help to pay a shadow. That is also not very adequate because it's still a shortfall, and they'll also help to pay the school fees, but there's still a shortfall. But before you can access that money, then you have to have the child assessed. An assessment can run you a couple $1,000 as well. Yes.
I mean, I can't even be, like, even for me, I mean, even in Canada, to have a shadow would be unbelievably expensive.
It is,
and
it is.
a major challenge.
Especially when you have to pay regular school fees. And in the center, the creative center, it's a little bit more expensive than the regular school fees, maybe about $10,000 more. So that again, so sometimes I'm very sympathetic towards the parents.
Right.
You know.
And so what happens to these families and these parents where they can't afford an assessment? They can't get they don't have access to any of this. What do?
It leaves me in tears because I've seen we have to push. Sometimes the school, and I don't know if I must say it publicly, but I will. There are certain cases where we have made allowances if the child has to be in aftercare, and this is not public knowledge, Miss Erica. I will defer and I will say I will not charge you for aftercare. I'll give your child lunch because I want for you to put your resources together so you can have the child go to speech therapy or you can have the child assessed. So we do something like that under the table, because we can't make it public knowledge,
and ultimately at the expense of you, who has limited resources too.
Yes.
So I mean, I see the need, and I'm really hoping that we can use what we've done.
There's a need.
Yeah, and you know, between Erica and I think, you know, with what we do on social media, hopefully we can take this video footage, raise some awareness, and hopefully raise some money and maybe get you guys you know, some additional resources.
You know, I really thank you for that, because at first when I heard from Erica, it was about maybe computer and so on. That's not the all beat of it. I think the greatest need, as you prompt us to say a while ago, was the fact of training and assessment. Because I want for the government, our government, to come and stream, to offer to pay for these assessments. A lot of children are out there. It is sad, because when children come to us, you can see there's a need, and they, what is hurtful, what pains my heart is the fact that they're in denial. If they could get the money to go, because one, I think they're in denial about, yes, the ego, and they don't want to know that my child has a special need, especially a man and his son, especially. But the affordability, and if the child is properly assessed and somebody is there to counsel them, then they'll be more accepting of the fact. I've seen a little boy who came here, and when we did our own investigations, I just had to bust out a ball, excuse my language. I had to cry. And because the child was so abused at home by mommy and daddy, I could not believe it. And they would beat him so badly. They didn't send him back to us because, of course, having the assessment was a problem. And that child we could not have taken without the assessment. So sometimes I worry, where is that child now? What is happening to him?
And you feel helpless.
Yes, there is, especially sometimes in our primary system. I think we are a little bit more aware than most. And the Ministry of Education, they have us in high esteem because we are one of the oldest prep schools, private school, who has this interest in taking children with special needs. And we are, excuse me, but we are proud of ourselves for that.
Oh, you should be. You
Yes.
absolutely do.
And if you go, as I said before, if you go right throughout our school from preschool, I can say you will not know, if you go in preschool now, you will not know that this child has a special need.
Nice.
We are cognizant of the fact, you know, that they have a special need. So when we see them around, if they throwing a tantrum and they behave in a way, we will know to take them aside and get them to calm down. But you cannot just see with the naked eye.
And how many, like, across Jamaica, do you have a sense of like how many schools do offer programs for children with special needs?
We have special schools, but having a child with special needs in a special school is not going to help that child. Because we believe in inclusion. Because I had a little girl, I do have her now because a couple months ago she came in and she stayed for about 3 weeks, and they took her to Liberty, which is a school for special needs children, and they took her back 2 weeks ago because they said that there's just no progress because they adopt the behaviors of the other children. So we need for them to be uplifted.
Right. And integrated.
And the
rest of society.
integration,
Exactly.
we need inclusion, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, what are they to do? Spend the rest of their lives just with each other? And I agree. So.
And
Yeah.
I have to tell you this story. This little boy is on the spectrum. He's in a grade 4 class. So we have a book fair, and he came to me yesterday and he took some books. And he said to me, he took an envelope this morning with 2,000 written on it. And I was a little busy, so I said to him, Amar, thank you for this. And I took the money, and he said, in the envelope sealed. And he said, no, maybe, just maybe you'd like to open the envelope to check the money. And I opened the envelope, and I checked the money, and I said, I thank you so much for that. And he said, do you know that the books I took yesterday was 1,950? So just maybe you need to give me back some change. And I said, I'm so very sorry, and I thank you for reminding me about the change. So I gave him his $50. So that is what I like, that type of thing. And our children with special needs, they are gifted. They are
so many kids,
gifted,
so many kids.
yes. And if you don't take the time to find out, what are you going to do? Just tuck them in a classroom and put them behind a curtain and leave them there? They're gifted. Yeah. Extremely gifted.
I've seen that very, very often where, they are often a savant in one particular area.
And even more than one. Yesterday one came from grade 6 and he bought some books, and I was there because I was under pressure selling the books. Before I could calculate the change, he said, I think you need to give me $750. I said, oh yes. Thank you so much. He had a calculator in the brain.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a child in the center currently. He likes to play with the Play-Doh.
Oh yes.
And when he's finished, the thing looks exactly like whatever it is that he's making. Right.
Geez, there's no doubt. Dinosaurs and robots and everything it's fabulous. Superheroes, yes.
That's certainly
He's artistic.
It's been a long time. It's been years and years ago that I used to work in day camps, and I worked at a camp where they did exactly the same thing that you're doing. Where we
special
well, they had a few special needs. It wasn't many. They were the minority, like most of the kids. And we fully integrated in exactly what we would have. Often we would have to hire one shadow person for them in that group, just to kind of for the extra hands. And exactly as you're saying, I mean, the number of times that I would observe these incredible capacities, it's almost as if they're telling us, they're showing that there is so much potential within our brains that can be unlocked, and they're kind of maybe all of their resources have been focused around this one special skill, and maybe that's where it deprived from the others, and that's what happened. I don't know. This is all just sort of speculation and theorizing about what's going on here, because I don't think anyone really fully understands, especially with autism, for example, what's behind it, what's causing it. And I certainly have seen stats
that it's a social disorder, really. But,
and it's on the rise.
It's on the rise, and what I find, you see here that if you're a mother of a certain age, probably in your 40s or late 30s, it is likely you could probably have a child with Down syndrome. But the children we are having now who are on the spectrum for autism, the mothers are probably 19, 20, 30. Young, healthy people.
Yeah, and there's no
both parents are probably in their 20s. And
we have no idea why is this going up and what's causing it.
There's a likelihood that if you have a child who is autistic, I think somewhere in some research it was done that there's a 90% chance that the other child will also be autistic. Yes. So yesterday, there's a little boy, because he's mild. I knew him from the preschool, but I thought that maybe the parents just wanted to have let him go a little. But when he came up gradually in the system, we realized that he's indeed on the spectrum, but very mild. He's now in grade 6, very loving. So his mom now has a 3-year-old, and she came to tell me yesterday that he was diagnosed as being autistic and he's more severe. So I said, there you go. This is our second autistic child now.
Well, you know, I commend you so much for what you do.
It keeps me okay. It keeps me being in love with my profession. This is what I like to do. As a matter of fact, I've already retired. But the mere fact that I'm here, it gives me so much joy. Especially when we have people like Dominic and Michelle and Aliyah. Aliyah's mommy came. That's a little girl who wants to be the doctor. Aliyah's mommy came a couple of years ago. She was so defensive of Aliyah. She would stay, and she wasn't trusting of us just because of the negative experiences that she had with Aliyah, of her being beaten and cut and you know all that, because they just did not understand that she had a special need. So they thought she was retarded and she was dunce. So they would beat the poor child and actually give her cuts and so on, you know. And so she was very suspicious of us when she came. And now I think she's convinced that we mean her no harm. So, and as I said before, when you have a child with special need, you want to know the child is in the safest environment as possible.
And that should not be the kind of fears that a parent should have.
They do have.
And that's yeah.
So a lot of what we have to do is to first convince the parents that we mean the child well. So we have to reassure them almost on a daily basis. And that goes for the typically developing child too.
Yeah.
Just to reassure them.
Absolutely. It takes a little.
Yes, but sometimes the parents, I think, need more of our attention than the children. Because the children are easily convinced that we take the best care. But the parents sometimes will go around the corner and they'll look to see what is going to happen. But I think we're able to convince them. Yes.
Is there anything else that you want people to know and let the world know and that we can maybe share and to raise awareness?
What I find, as I said before, is that when it comes to a child with special needs, especially one who is on the spectrum, and this is my experience, my personal experience, I've seen children who are diagnosed as being severely autistic because of what is expected of them. It's like putting money in the bank. If you put pennies, you're gonna get pennies worth of interest. If you put $1 million, think about that, all that interest that you will get at the end of a period. So that is what I want to encourage them to do. Treat your child with special needs as if he or she is a typically developing child. Invest early. I've seen children who are on the spectrum and it is a critical period and you have to start early. I've seen children with special needs who are now at high school and are now at university. Children who are like nonverbal, but because it was detected early and because of, I wouldn't say all the work, but because of what was invested in that child now is, you would not look at that child and know that that child is on the spectrum. And so early intervention is key.
Well, thank you so much for welcoming us in.
I thank you, and I'll probably go on and on and on and on, but I know, yes.
Thank you so much.
It is just my passion. And as somebody who's going to deal with children with special needs, you have to love children, but you have to have a special love for children who are a little different. And that's what we do at VAZ.
I commend you and admire you both for what you do, and I hope that we can make a difference.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome.
That was epic. Oh my goodness. You know, I must tell
Off
you,
the record, I hope you got my good side. I'm just joking.
you always have
love
your
that.
good side. Oh, come on. She's just so amazing. Like, seriously, I remember she's always, because I wanted to move Dominic to take him to that same school.
Special needs
Special needs school. And because when you took him to therapy, the person was saying, oh, you need Dominic needs to be in a special environment.
Oh, no.
And needs to be, and she said no.
No.
She said no.
Yeah.
She said, why?
Right.
And she said Dominic needs to be in an environment where he can learn from others.
Exactly.
Right.
And she insisted that no, you're not moving Dominic.
Well,
Dominic is
happy I
my
did it.
success
I mean, this
story.
it's funny because to me, there's something just absolutely intuitive about that, right? I mean, if we're talking about a social disorder, how is it constructive in any way to put the same disorder all in one room
Exactly.
without any example?
Which was always
philosophy, and I'm happy I listened to her.
Yeah, no, yeah.
she makes perfect sense.
Of course it makes
I
sense.
mean, Miss Boxe is saying she's not a doctor. I think she probably have it all twisted because I think somewhere inside she probably don't even know who she is because she gives such great sound advice that really take you in the right direction.
And that's
She
a mother.
knows so many things, like to do the right things. I remember she usually said to me, I remember when Dominic used to come to school in his diaper, she said, do not carry him back here in a diaper.
Because that's what she's expecting him to
She's
be in a
expecting him,
diaper.
right,
I'm
right.
expecting him to be out of a diaper.
And you know,
And
that's,
she said, no,
Right.
I will not have it.
that's been almost like a guiding principle for me when I meet anybody is expect the best because
And that's what you're gonna do.
that's what the people want, and people will want to live up to those expectations. If you expect the worst, then they're not.
Do you know? Okay, first of all, what I encourage, one of the things I encourage all children or children with special needs, the family, the self-help skills. You don't know how long you have on this earth. So therefore, you have to leave your child with that type of legacy. As early as possible, allow them to fix a meal. Do that.
Right.
Because you don't know if you're going to be here for them all the time. I remember when Dominica used to say, Mom, do not take Dominic's lunch pan. Let him have his lunch pan. It's his responsibility. Let him come in, negotiate a little space. Okay, there are 2 lunch pans there. I need to push them aside and I need to put my lunch pan. Then she would walk inside with him and she would stand over him like a helicopter hovering. And one day, Dominic just got up off his seat. And he just took his mother and he took her to the door and he just
Push it right.
right through it and he said, go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I whispered to her, serve you right. He pushed her out.
Yeah.
And then that day when that happened, I felt a joy in my heart. Not because he pushes mommy out, but I know that there
It's
is
the
something
independence.
that is going to happen with Dominic.
And there was this independence, there was a moment of independence.
He wouldn't even come on the playground. Dominic just stood right there and he just rocked and he just made sounds.
And now he's initiating play.
He's initiating.
Yes.
Oh my
He came in and initiated the play with me. He was
Yes.
doing little hand things.
Exactly. When I go, I said, Dominic, how are you? I'm fine. That is Dominic.
He's saying morning.
He's saying good morning. Oh, goodness. I am so happy. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
Really, trust me.
And much is expected, much will be given.
But you know, I'm really thankful to you, in terms of the guidance, the foundation when we just came, and the guidance you have given and the things that you insisted on, even with the shadow. She was like, Mommy, please, I don't want the shadow. She's insisting on it until this day.
She's a beautiful shadow, though.
She
She's a
is.
beautiful
She's a
person.
beautiful
She
shadow.
loves
She
Dominic.
loves him dearly.
Yes. She is a great person. But she was overprotective, so we have had to, say.
Little nudge. But
And she
again,
yes.
yeah. But again, I mean, that's sort of the rare case, I think, right? Not many.
And we love her for that, you know.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
appreciate it. And one thing I can tell you, it you're not being nice to the children, you're not going to have a place at VAZ. That goes for everybody across the board. They are a typically developing child or a typical developing one. If you can't treat them with the kindness and the gentleness and the love, don't stay. Don't stay. I will ask you to go. And I'm not joking. I have 37 babies in there now. Maybe they know we are here, maybe not, but this is how they are. I know they're probably having a little snack or something. But the only voices I want to hear are the children. I don't want to hear a teacher shouting. I'm going to go investigate. Don't shout at my children. Heaven forbid if you put your hand up. Don't. And when somebody comes to me and asks me, a new parent, how do you deal with discipline and your method? I don't understand, explain. Because if you are the one who is going to model that behavior, and if you model the behavior, you come in and the children see you being kind to the parents and you're courteous to the children, that's what you're going to get.
There's plenty of evidence to support that positive reinforcement is so much more effective than negative reinforcement.
And you taught them through, as small as they are, you taught them through a problem. And you explain. And you have to, when you're finished, don't care what the behavior is like when the child comes to you, you have to ensure that you leave them with their self-esteem intact. Because a vicious cycle. If you are going to be shouting and beating up on somebody, then if I do something that is so quote unquote naughty, you beat up on me. If I go and somebody does something to me that I don't like, what am I going to do? The same thing. I'm going to just flare up at you and give you a slap or tell you that you're this and that. No. So we try to talk them through it. And I've had bigger boys who come over. Yes, to do something naughty. I speak to them about the behavior, give them some time to talk. The most important thing for me to do is to get them to admit their part in it. If they have to do lines, they do the lines. But before they go, I have to find at least 3 to 5 minutes to sit and speak to them and encourage them. So, and when you do that, if you say something positive to a child, I like your hair, you're so bright, you're so responsible, could you go dispose of this in the compost? And they go, they don't walk, they skip. They feel good. Yes. You said to a child, get out of here, you're so rude, they go. And they walk like that. We don't want that. So it's always positive reinforcement. So that's what we try to do. We're not perfect. Operative word there, we try.
You're amazing. You're amazing.
I love to talk too much.
I love you. Like seriously, she's so epic.
But I know I'm gonna stop talking now. So I keep it forever.
She's epic.
Yeah, no, but this is really great. I think this is exactly what people need to know and hear. So I'm so glad that we've captured this on footage, so people can hear what you have to say. And I'm really stoked to get this going.
I love to talk. So no, I don't love to talk. I'm very, very shy, very quiet. But
You're very
then
passionate about what you do.
Look,
That's
you
it.
tell me about my children, and then I will. I'll go on.
I kind of like to talk to you sometimes,
You like to talk?
I like that.
I don't.
I like
They
to
have me as a quiet one because in admin, I'm the one who speaks the least.
But when you do speak, mind blowing.
I certainly say that now. The people that I want to listen to most are the people who speak the least.
Yeah. Because they have so much to say.
They have a lot to say.
Contribute.
Yeah. And and also, I mean, it shows that they're precious with their words.
Of course.
And intentional with their words, and not
Just talking.
But I love my children, and
that's it. That is clear.
sometimes I tell them that I think my heart is made up of elastic bands because it's always stretching. And every time you finish, you get a set of children, you work. Like when my babies come in and I have to take them over to the kindergarten. And I said, will I ever love another set of children as much as I love these? And then here comes another setting in end of August. I say, oh my God, you fall in love all over again. So being in love is a wonderful feeling. I don't know related to you, but I've been in love a couple of times, and it's always so nice. When you fall in love, you get this feeling of, oh my God, I'm floating. So
Then when you see the
I
progress.
float, and I've been in the system close to 40 years. Yes.
You're happy at the same time when they go to the next grade because you know that they
And I
have
follow them
grown.
right up to grade
Right.
6. I said to my little Ivy May, I said, you know, Ivy May, you know what is your problem? Because she was being a little 3-year-old. I said, you know, Ivy May, I just think you're spoiled. I was feeling a little annoyed with my Ivy. So Miss Valda came in, the caregiver, and she says, I wonder who spoiled her. And I said, me. And I said to them, I spoil them, I don't rotten them, if you know what I mean. There's a difference between spoiled and rotten. And because I have to go out sometimes, because I also work with the university in early childhood, I'd rather to know that I spoil them, so when I'm not there, they can be halfway spoiled. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So I don't have to be worrying about them. There's a time when I used to go to work, I used to go to Antigua and Grenada to work, and I'd be using my phone to call. Where are they? Are they outside? What have they done? And I'm saying, but no, like a mother, no. It's like you have a caregiver at home and you begin to trust that person, so you kind of let go a little. So no, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. And I hope the staff members that I have, especially at preschool, that they will stay. So when I'm no longer here, you know, because that's how it is. And I think even when I go home, I'm going to come with my walking stick and go. And I shall be a mean old lady if you hurt my children.
Look, that's incredible, and I imagine exactly. You'll probably do that for the rest of your life.
This is their passion. She's proud to serve. in
Yes.
And
this
I have
area.
grandkids, so. It's everything.
Well, I'm so glad I got to meet you.
I thank you for coming. I don't even know what it's all about, but I thank you for coming.
Hey everyone, we are here at the VAZ Community School where I just sat down with the principal. This is an amazing place, an amazing conversation with the principal who really just, you know, her heart just is massive. And, you know, they have an integrated program here with children and children with special needs. And, you know, there's just a huge need for resources and training and support for parents. And this wonderful woman here is launching a charity, Caring Hands, to fulfill those needs. And I commend you for that so much.
Thank you.
And I'm proud to be a part of this.
Thank you. We are so amazing together, Julian. I really appreciate your support. And we want your support to help parents and the school to actually fill the needs that they have to help their children to develop and to be better at what they do. They have need for computers, training. You know, we're very big on training because with training you can actually get to advance and to be better at your craft and to really be helping in the way you really should. So we're definitely looking for what Ms. Box called manipulatives, which will help the students to actually learn. So hands-on kits, Lego toys, and of course there's a need for computers as well, which will help them to learn. So we need like maybe about 7 of them in the room, and just to help them. But you know, with our caring hands, we can help VAZ for School committed the whole child. So your help is very important.
Please give.
Give generously with those caring hands. Thank you.
Thank you.